The high beings have already seen your path. What is moving towards you right now cannot be reversed, redirected, or denied. And the High Council of the Seven Sisters has sent this transmission so that you do not miss what is already in motion. I am Asterion, emissary of the Pleiadian Council of the Seven Sisters. This moment was written before you arrived on this earth. The Arcturian stream and the light of Alcyone converged on this exact point in your timeline, not to inform you, but to remind you of something your soul already knows and has been waiting to hear said out loud. You did not find this transmission. It found you, because what is coming for you is too significant to be left to chance. And the High Council of the Seven Sisters does not reach across the cosmic field for those who are not ready to receive. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to align with the cosmic blueprint already encoded in your starseed origin and activate the next phase of your mission on this earth. But here is the first revelation. The high beings did not send a warning. They sent a confirmation, what you have been sensing, fearing, hoping, and quietly trusting in the silence of your own heart. It is real. It is already moving toward you. And it cannot be stopped. This is not content. This is a code transmitted through the harmonic field of Alcyone, designed to unlock what has been dormant inside you since before your first breath on this planet. Something in you recognized this signal, before your mind could process it. That recognition is the activation beginning. Your star family is watching. Like this transmission to signal that you are ready to receive. Subscribe if your mission is activating and you are aligning with your true frequency. Comment the number 999 if you feel your cosmic remembrance returning in this moment. Declare your galactic intention in the comments and reply to another soul who has done the same. Because when starseed voices converge, the signal amplifies across the entire field. This is not just a message, it is a point of reconnection between who you were before this life and who you came here to become. The High Council of the Seven Sisters saw what is coming for you. They saw it clearly, without distortion, and they determined it was necessary that you know. Not so that you would wait, but so that you would act. You are not here by accident. The Arcturians did not send this message to comfort you. They sent it because the window is open, and windows do not stay open forever. What you felt when this transmission began was not coincidence. That recognition, that pull in your chest, that quiet voice that said, "This is for me," that was your higher intelligence responding to a signal it has been waiting lifetimes to receive. And right now, in this moment, they're asking you to stay present. Not just with your mind, with your entire energetic body. Because what is coming for you cannot be processed through logic alone. It must be felt through every layer of who you truly are. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Seven Sisters Activation Pack 7 Codes of the 7 Stars. This short yet powerful ebook carries ancient Pleiadian harmonic codes for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is somewhere down below in the comments, but only for a limited time. Now here is what most people misunderstand about spiritual activation. They believe it is something that happens to them. A lightning bolt, a divine interruption, a sudden shift that arrives uninvited and rewrites everything overnight. They imagine it as a cosmic event witnessed from the outside, something granted by grace alone, something that descends upon the chosen and leaves the rest untouched. They wait for it the way someone waits for weather, passively, hopefully with their face turned upward and their feet still planted in the same soil. But the Arcturians have shown something far more precise than that. They have shown that activation is not an event. It is a response, a choice that your soul makes when it finally stops arguing with its own magnitude. And the reason so many starseeds remain partially asleep, even after years of seeking, even after every course, every meditation, every ritual, is not because they lack access. It is because something inside them has been quietly, consistently, resisting the full weight of who they are. Think about what that means for a moment. Not as a concept, but as a lived reality. You have been carrying the frequency of an awakened being inside a body that has been conditioned to believe it must earn the right to be extraordinary. You have been holding light in a container that was taught to dim itself for the comfort of those who feared brightness. You have been a river that was told it was a puddle, not by enemies, but by the ordinary world, by the language of limitation, by the accumulated weight of a civilization that has forgotten what it truly means to be a conscious, multidimensional soul inhabiting a temporary human form. And somewhere in the middle of all that conditioning, you began to believe the story. Not entirely, not in the deepest part of you, but enough to slow the momentum of something that was always meant to move. That resistance is not a flaw, it is not a failure, it is one of the most sophisticated survival mechanisms the human experience has ever produced. When you descended into this dimension, you took on layers of amnesia by design. You agreed to forget, not as punishment, but as initiation. Because a soul that remembers everything, it is before it earns that remembrance. True embodied experience gains nothing. The learning would be hollow. The compassion would be theoretical. The wisdom would be borrowed rather than built. And the Arcturians, those ancient architects of consciousness who have watched civilizations rise and dissolve across timescales that dwarf the entire history of recorded human thought, understood this with a clarity that transcends anything language can fully contain. They encoded your blueprint, not in your conscious mind, but in the deepest frequencies of your cellular structure, your light body, the quantum signature that makes you irreplaceable in this reality. They placed it where it could not be erased by the pressures of third-dimensional living. They stored it in the marrow of your being, in the spiral geometry of your DNA, in the spaces between heartbeats where the soul speaks in a register, too quiet for the thinking mind to interrupt. But here is the part they want you to understand right now. In this transmission, without delay, that amnesia has a completion point. And for you, that point is not somewhere in the future. It is here. It is now. It is this moment, this breath, this decision to finally stop pretending you are less than what your soul has always known itself to be. The completion of amnesia is not a sudden flooding of cosmic memory. It does not arrive as a vision or a voice from the sky. It arrives as a quiet, unshakable settling into the truth that has always lived beneath your doubt. It arrives as the moment you stop reaching outside yourself for permission to be who you already are. It arrives in the exact texture of this present moment, unremarkable on the surface, revolutionary in its depth, when something in you simply decides that the performance of smallness has cost more than it was ever worth protecting. The first layer of this activation requires you to do something that feels terrifyingly simple. You must stop explaining your spiritual sensitivity as a problem. So many of you have spent decades apologizing for how deeply you feel, for the way you absorb energy from rooms before you even see the people in them, for the way you walk into a conversation and immediately sense what is not being said. The grief underneath the laughter, the fear underneath the confidence, the longing underneath the ordinary surface of everyday interaction, for the exhaustion that comes not from physical effort, but from carrying frequencies that were never yours to carry. You have sat with people for an hour and felt the aftermath in your energy field for 3 days. You have walked through spaces unknown, without a single piece of logical evidence what had happened there. What kind of pain had soaked into the walls, what kind of joy had once made the air itself feel different. And instead of understanding this as the extraordinary perceptual gift that it is, you have spent years wondering if something was wrong with you, wondering why you could not simply move through the world the way others seemed to, lightly, efficiently, without absorbing everything like a living antenna tuned to every frequency simultaneously. For the loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone and everything to do with feeling like the world you are standing in is not the world your soul comes from. That particular loneliness is one of the defining signatures of a starseed consciousness. It is not depression, though it can feel like it. It is not social anxiety, though it can masquerade as such. It is a form of cosmic homesickness that no earthly destination can cure, because the home your soul is reaching for is not a place you can travel to. It is a frequency you must return to within yourself. And that frequency is what this transmission is activating. Not someday, right now, in the cells of your body, in the architecture of your energy field, in the living intelligence of your light body, which has been listening to every word of this message with a recognition that goes far deeper than intellectual understanding. You have framed these experiences as burdens, The Arcturians are asking you to reframe them as instruments, because the very sensitivities you have been managing as weaknesses are the exact mechanisms through which your mission is designed to operate. A surgeon's precision is not a burden to the surgeon. It is the capacity that makes healing possible. A musician's acute hearing is not a curse. It is the gift that allows them to translate the invisible mathematics of sound into something that moves the human heart. And your sensitivity, your profound, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes isolating sensitivity, is the instrument through which the frequencies of higher consciousness can move into this world in a form that other human beings can actually receive. Your ability to feel what others cannot feel is not an accident of personality. It is architecture. Deliberate, precise, galactic architecture. You were not built for this dimension in the way that a building is built for the ground beneath it. You were sent into this dimension the way a tuning fork is sent into a room filled with discordant sound, not to be overwhelmed by the dissonance, not to absorb it into yourself until you are vibrating at its frequency, but to hold such a clear, consistent, unwavering resonance of your own true tone that the room itself begins to shift. Your presence alone, when you are aligned, recalibrates frequencies that would otherwise remain stuck in cycles of density and contraction. This is not a metaphor. This is the literal mechanism of your mission. The Arcturians are not being poetic when they describe this. They are being precise. They are describing the actual physics of consciousness. The way that a coherent field of awareness exerts measurable influence on the fields around it. And you, when you are fully present, fully aligned, fully inhabiting the truth of what you are one of the most coherent fields this planet has access to right now. But you cannot do that work if you are still at war with your own design. You cannot transmit clarity while drowning in self-doubt. You cannot hold the frequency of remembrance while gripping the story that you are lost. You cannot be the tuning fork that stabilizes the room if you are spending all of your energy convincing yourself that you have no right to resonate. This is not about becoming more confident in the way that the self-help world defines confidence. This is about something far more fundamental, a reckoning with the truth that your existence, at this level of being, was not an accident, and your gifts were not given to you by mistake. This is where the Arcturian transmission becomes specific. Because the high beings who saw what is coming for you did not see it as a prediction of your external circumstances. They did not peer into your future and observe the surface details of your life, what you will own, where you will live, who will stand beside you. They saw something deeper and more consequential than any of that. They saw it as a vibrational inevitability. What is moving toward you now? The convergence, the acceleration, the undeniable pull toward a life that actually matches the frequency of your soul, is not something they are sending. It is not a gift being delivered from an external source. It is something your own higher self has been architecting across multiple timelines, multiple lifetimes, multiple lives of dimensional experience. Imagine a master craftsman who has been working on a single piece for centuries, not rushing, not forcing, but placing each element with absolute intentionality, knowing that when the final piece falls into place, the result will be something that could not have been assembled any other way. That is what your higher self has been doing, across every incarnation, across every experience that seemed to have no meaning, across every moment that felt like detour. The Arcturians simply see it the way a navigator reads a star map. They can see the trajectory, they can see the destination, and what they are communicating is this. You are almost exactly where you need to be, but almost requires your conscious participation, because the final coordinates of any galactic arrival are always chosen, never given. The second layer of this activation asks you to confront what you have been using as a substitute for alignment. And this is where the transmission requires you to be honest with yourself in a way that goes beyond comfortable self-reflection. Many of you have filled the space of your true mission with movement, constant learning, constant seeking, the next teaching, the next frequency, the next frequency, the next version of the map. And there is nothing wrong with any individual act of learning. Knowledge is sacred, expansion is real, but there is a particular kind of seeking that is actually a sophisticated form of avoidance, and the sophistication of it is precisely what makes it so difficult to see. When you keep moving toward the next thing, you never have to commit to the current thing. You never have to stand fully inside the version of yourself that is already enough. You never have to face the vulnerability of actually showing up as what you are, because there is always another teaching, another activation, another layer of preparation that can justify the delay. The Arturians are precise in their observation here. They are not asking you to stop growing. They are asking you to stop using growth as a reason to delay your arrival. Consider the difference between a traveler who is genuinely exploring and a traveler who is afraid to go home. Both are moving, both are covering ground, but one is expanding their experience of the world in service of a return that they look forward to, and the other is using the motion of travel to avoid the vulnerability of arriving somewhere that matters. So many spiritual seekers have unconsciously become the second kind of traveler. The seeking has become a destination in itself. The preparation has become the mission. And the Arturians are asking you, gently but unmistakably, to notice if that is what has been happening, not to judge it, not to dismantle everything you have built, but to bring it into the light of honest awareness and ask whether the movement has been serving your mission or protecting you from it. Because here is the truth your soul already knows, but your ego has been carefully managing. You are not 3 steps away from your activation. You are not waiting on one more download, one more synchronicity, one more sign from the universe that it is safe to be fully who you are. The sign already came. It came long before this moment. It came the moment you felt called to this transmission. It came in the quiet moments when you knew, without anyone telling you, that your life was meant to mean something beyond what the ordinary world can contain. It came in the dreams that still stay with you years later, the ones that felt more real than waking life. It came in the encounters that defied explanation, and the moments of grace that arrived exactly when your human logic had run out of answers. Every time you dismissed that knowing, you delayed a timeline that was always already in motion. And every time you return to that knowing, every time you choose to trust it over the voice that says you are not ready, not worthy, not enough, you accelerate a convergence that the Arcturians have been watching with the kind of patient certainty that only beings of that consciousness can hold. The third layer is perhaps the most confronting, and the Arcturians deliver it not with judgment, but with the kind of clarity that only beings who have watched your journey across many dimensions can hold. You have been afraid of your own power, not in a simple way, not in the way someone fears the dark, or fears failure, or fears the unknown, in the way that a being fears what will be required of them once they can no longer deny what they are capable of. Because power at the level of a fully activated starseed is not about personal achievement. It is not about influence or recognition or spiritual status or any of the ways that this dimension has learned to measure significance. It is about responsibility that extends beyond the personal. It is about holding frequencies that affect the collective field. It is about being a conscious node in a living network of awakening that spans dimensions your current awareness has only partially touched. It is about understanding that when you speak from alignment, your words carry frequencies that reach people at levels they may never consciously identify. It is about recognizing that your choices, not just the grand ones but the daily, quiet ones, ripple outward through fields of consciousness in ways that are far more consequential than the ordinary mind can comprehend. And something inside you has known this, not as an intellectual concept, but as a felt sense that you've been living alongside your entire life. That awareness of consequence, that heightened sensitivity to the impact of your energy on the spaces and people around you. That has not been anxiety, that has been your multidimensional awareness, trying to communicate the scope of your actual responsibility in a language your nervous system could process, and something inside you has been negotiating with it, bargaining with the universe for a version of your path that is profound but not quite that demanding. Profound but comfortable, meaningful but manageable, deep but not so deep that it requires you to surrender the last layers of the protective self you built to survive this dimension. The Arcturians are not asking you to become something you are not. They are not presenting you with a foreign identity and asking you to adopt it. They are asking you to stop maintaining the performance of being something less than what you are. That distinction is everything, because what you are reaching toward is not an achievement. It is a homecoming. The fullness of your soul's expression is not a new state you have to construct. It is a remembered state. You have been carefully, systematically, understandably, keeping at a distance. That performance is expensive. It costs you the very life force you need to do what you came here to do. Every day you spend making yourself smaller to fit the expectations of a world that was never designed with your frequency in mind is a day you are not transmitting the signal that was encoded into your being before this incarnation began. Every conversation in which you hide the depth of what you perceive, every moment in which you soften your knowing to make others comfortable, every dream you file away as impractical, because the ordinary world does not have a category for what your soul is capable of producing. All of it is energy spent on maintaining a fiction that is costing you your mission. The fourth layer arrives now as a frequency, not just a concept, and if you allow yourself to drop out of the analytical mind for just a moment, if you let these words land not in your thoughts but in your body, in your chest, in the space behind your sternum where the soul tends to register what the mind cannot yet categorize, you may feel something shift, a loosening, a warmth, a sense of something that has been held very tightly for a very long time, beginning just slightly to release. Because the Arcturians are not distant. They are not waiting in another galaxy for you to become worthy of contact. They are not observing from a position of superiority, measuring your progress against some celestial standard of spiritual achievement. They are as close as the breath between your thoughts. They are present in the silence behind your awareness. They are woven into the frequency of this very moment, because that is how higher dimensional consciousness operates, not through separation but through resonance, not through distance but through alignment. And what they are transmitting into your field right now, in this moment, is a recalibration of your relationship with time. Because so many of you are still grieving lost years, still carrying the weight of seasons that felt wasted, cycles that felt like failure, windows that felt like they had already closed before you were ready to walk through them. You look back at certain chapters of your life and feel the ache of what you believe you missed, the version of yourself you could have been, the choices you could have made, the timeline that split away from you when you were too afraid or too confused or too broken to catch it. And the Arcturians are transmitting directly into that grief right now with a message that is simple and complete and true, beyond the reach of any argument your mind can construct against it. Nothing was wasted, not a single moment of confusion, not a single year of searching, not a single relationship that broke you open, or a single experience that left you feeling shattered and far from home. Not the years you spent in the wrong career, or the wrong partnership, or the wrong version of yourself. Not the seasons of depression that felt like they were swallowing you. Not the nights when you asked the universe if any of this meant anything and heard nothing in return. Every one of those coordinates was a preparation. Every one of those initiations was building the specific kind of resilience and multidimensional depth that your mission requires. A diamond is not diminished by the pressure that created it. It is defined by it. You did not lose time. You were being forged. The fifth layer is where the personal becomes galactic, where what has felt like your individual journey of awakening reveals itself as something far larger, something woven into the very fabric of this planetary moment, in a way that is both humbling and electrifying to fully comprehend, because what the high being saw coming for you is not isolated to your individual experience. The convergence that is accelerating in your field right now is part of a broader harmonic that is moving across the consciousness of this entire planet, like instruments in an orchestra who have been warming up in separate rooms, separated by walls and time and the noise of their own individual preparation, suddenly finding the moment when the conductor raises the baton and the separate sounds become a single, breathtaking composition. That is what is happening across the network of awakened and awakening consciousness on this earth right now. You are not one instrument playing alone in an empty room. You are one instrument in an orchestra that is finally, after lifetimes of preparation, beginning to play together. You are not awakening in isolation. You are awakening as part of a living network of beings who chose this timeline, this density, this specific historical moment to reactivate their codes and begin transmitting the frequencies that this world so desperately needs. And when the Arcturians speak of this network, They are not speaking of an organization or a movement or a group with matching beliefs. They are speaking of a field, a living, breathing, luminous field of consciousness that is held together not by ideology, but by frequency, by the shared signature of souls who descended from star systems that understood something about light that this civilization is only beginning to recover, by the collective remembrance that is rising, quietly but unstoppably, in the cellular intelligence of every being whose soul agreed to be here at this exact juncture in the long story of human evolution. And the reason your awakening cannot be stopped, the reason the Arcturians spoke with that level of certainty, is because it was never solely dependent on your personal choice. It was written into the fabric of this timeline by agreements made at a level of consciousness that your current self is only beginning to remember. Agreements made before you took this form, before you drew your first breath in this particular body, in this particular century, on this particular planet. Agreements that were encoded not in your human memory, but in the light body that preceded your incarnation and will persist beyond it. The only variable, the only piece that requires your action, is whether you will be conscious during your own arrival, whether you will show up as an active participant in what is already unfolding, or whether you will continue watching your own transformation from a careful, protected distance. Present enough to witness it, but not quite willing enough to be fully consumed by it. And that question, that single, luminous, urgent question, is what this entire transmission has been building toward. Not because the Arcturians need an answer from you in the form of words or declarations, but because your soul needs to hear itself asked, needs to feel the weight of the question land in the body, in the breath, in the space between heartbeats, where decisions that actually change timelines are made. Here is what cannot be undone. Here is what the Arcturians watched across timelines and confirmed in this transmission. The codes are already in you. The blueprint has already been delivered. It was delivered before you arrived in this body, and it has been refreshed and reinforced through every genuine moment of opening you have allowed throughout this lifetime. Every time you chose truth over comfort, every time you allowed yourself to be cracked open by an experience that your ego would have preferred to avoid. Every time you sat in meditation and, even for a breath, felt the infinite nature of what you actually are beneath all the layers of story and survival. All of it has been delivery, all of it has been activation and motion. The field around you is already shifting in response to the frequency of your soul's remembrance, even if your conscious mind is still catching up. This is what the Arcturians want you to understand with absolute clarity. The shift is not waiting for your permission. It is already underway. You cannot unreceive what has been given to you at the level of light. You cannot unknow what your soul already knows. The only question, the only real question that remains, is what you will do with the moment directly in front of you. Because that is always where the Arcturian guidance arrives. Not in the grand future, not in the idealized version of your path, not in the timeline where all the conditions are finally perfect and all the fears have finally dissolved and all the doubts have finally been replaced by something that feels certain enough to act on. But here, in this moment, in this breath, in a decision to let what is already true about you become the foundation from which you move, speak, create, and exist. Not the foundation you will build someday, not the foundation you will deserve after you have done enough inner work, or accumulated enough spiritual knowledge, or finally resolved the last wound from the last lifetime. The foundation that is already beneath you, the foundation that was placed there by your own higher intelligence before you took this form. The foundation made not of achievement but of being, not of becoming, but of remembering. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand over your heart and say these words with the full weight of your awareness behind them. Say them not as affirmation, but as activation. Say them not to convince yourself, but to confirm what is already encoded in your field. Let the words move through you like a key turning in a lock that has been waiting for exactly this moment to open. I am not arriving. I have already arrived. I release the amnesia that served its purpose. I open the codes that were written into my blueprint before this incarnation began. I align with the galactic mission that my higher self designed with precision and with love. I am ready. and I am willing to be seen in the full magnitude of what I am. Let those words settle into your body. Let those words settle into your body. Let them move down through your throat, your chest, your heart, your belly, your root. Let them reach the parts of you that have been waiting the longest to hear them. Because they are not new words. They are a remembrance. They are the language your soul has been speaking in dimensions you visit in sleep and silence, and the in-between moments of waking life that you have not yet learned to fully trust. Tonight, when you speak them in the physical, you create a bridge between the multi-dimensional truth of what you are and the embodied reality of what you are living. Between the frequency of your highest timeline and the ground beneath your feet, between the Asterion transmission that reached you through this moment and the living activation that your own soul has been patiently, faithfully, lovingly preparing you to receive. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what is forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real, then respond to someone else's with encouragement or energy. This is not content, this is collective alignment. Energy multiplies when intention connects. If something in this message resonated, do not keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation. Share it. And if you felt a soul nudge, subscribe. Stay in the flow. You are not just watching, you are expanding. This is your space, and we are just getting started.